for a long time. Ever since he started out, man, that dude's fast talker and good promos.
It reminds me of Boomhauer from King of the Hill.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
I didn't just catch that one.
Boomhauer. Well, it's only because they both talk fast. Is what it comes down to. Not by the tone. Jim Cornette's higher on the tone. He's not quite Paul Bearer level. He's in between Paul Bearer and Paul Heyman in terms of tone level, but he definitely talks fast.
Sorry, side note, not to pick on myself, but there's been a time or two that I've been called Boomhauer somehow.
It has to be the accent at that point.
Yeah, I guess people thought, and it's been years since I've been called that, but there's a few people I used to work with, maybe Boomhauer, and they thought, talk a little fast, a little bit, but it's, like you said, the accent. So I was like, when someone brung it up, I'm like, who the hell is Boomhauer? So someone had to bring up YouTube one day. His old boss, he's like, "This is who Boomhauer is." I'm like, "I don't, not that like that." It's like, "Oh yeah, you're like Boomhauer." It's like, so, anyways, yeah. A little side note for you.
More often than not, I'm asked how I can understand you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people ask me.
No. Who besides your lady? Who's people?
Actually, both my ex and my current. They're like, "How do you understand them?" I don't know. I guess
both your ex.
No, ex and then my current.
I thought you said both your. Okay, I got you. Yeah, well, I don't know. Some people do have a problem sometimes between stuttering and sometimes mumble.
Right.
But most often it's like this accent. It's like some people like down south, Tampa Bay area. People are like, "Okay, where were you born at?" I'm like, "You're not gonna believe it. I was born right here." It's like,
yeah.
Is that what that is? Is that what you're talking about? I know Sydney had a problem here. You're telling me about that.
Yeah, other people have different complications in understanding you, just mainly because of the accent, which is all good because with her, I have difficulty understanding some people in their family, and it's because there's a mixture of Spanish and English mainly. I forgot what it was, but she used the Spanglish, and it's like, wow, okay. Getting off topic here.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. Sorry.
There's Tommy Rich versus Harley Race. Do you know this Tommy Rich guy?
I can tell you I know some of them. Somebody I've seen him in the ring before for WCW, but I can't say I know a lot about him. But I've seen him in the ring before. He's good talent.
Okay, because I never heard of this guy before, but he had a match with Harley Race. Race ends up countering the flying crossbody from Tommy Rich, rolls him up, and pins him.
I wasn't a big fan of the finish, honestly. I don't even think that Harley Race should have won, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so either. It looks like it was an enhancement match for Tommy Rich, kind of like the other ones.
Tommy is a former multiple-time world champion, too.
Okay.
And, so that's what, and I think the Jim Ross was talking about. That was more of kind of an upset victory that Race won. I mean, I don't know what you call it, upset.
Did you see Tommy Rich pulling off the Hulk Hogan kicking out of the Warrior pin after the 3 count thing?
I think I did see that.
Yeah, I caught that, and it's like, okay, so either they're trying to build to something later, which I really hope it's that and not an ego thing.
Yeah.
The win seemed like it came out of nowhere. I didn't understand why it was that. Why they decided to go with Harley Race here, and why there was such a weird pin, no finishers or signature move utilized. It's just boom, pin, done.
Yeah, I just didn't like that finish. I didn't even like Race winning, like I said, but whatever, whoever wanted to book it like that did it. But I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 3 too, mainly because it came out of nowhere, and I didn't understand why it was done that way.
I thought the storytelling was it was not as great as it should have been, in my opinion.
No.
But it was all right. It was all right for what it was.
So the promo that's next, this is what I was referring to. People know by other things. We had Paul E. Dangerously from the Dangerous Alliance cutting a promo, which he became Paul Heyman in the future, with Mark Callis, the Undertaker.
Will be the Undertaker in months. Oh
yeah. It was crazy watching it because, well, one, he looks nothing like he did as the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And I never knew that Undertaker was a Paul Heyman guy.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Okay, yeah. Back in well, it was Teddy Long first, and then it was but that's the Skyscrapers,
Right.
and then eventually, me and Mark went to being solo singles competitor, and then Paulie eventually came in the picture.
Yeah, I didn't know he was managed by Paul Heyman at that point, which is weird that Paul Heyman has had this much influence on wrestling in the past 30 years, and so many big names have been tied to him.
Yeah, and Paulie's like, first time we saw Taker in the meetings there was like, it was first time we saw him in the arena at WCW, he's like, wow, this guy should be on top. I mean, this guy, give it a little bit of time, man. This guy, he was impressed by him. I think he's also the one, kind of think he was a little bit Taker or me, Mark Callis' ear, like, if you get an offer, head on over to up north. And obviously, the rest is history.
Yeah, it was interesting watching it.
Which is really the same thing. So sorry, same thing that happened with Triple H when he was in WCW. Regal's like when Triple H got the offer, Regal's Triple H asked Regal what he thinks. Like, take it, you're gonna become a big star out there. So, anyways, that just off the track there. But it's like people knew, Flair wanted Sting to go. It never went, obviously. But anyways, going back to me, Mark Callis.
Yeah, so there's a promo cut here, talking about the match coming up later in the night against Lex Luger. But then we moved into the next match, which was the U.S. Tag Title match. Which honestly, I would like to see a promotion bring this back, a U.S. Tag Title of some sort.
Yeah.
The Southern Boys, which were Steve Armstrong, which is Jesse James's brother, and Tracy Smothers versus the Midnight Express, a beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan with Jim Cornette on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of this match?
I thought it was pretty good. It was a decent story, good action. It was the ringside fighting was good too, pretty good, and I just thought told a good story. Of course, Cornette on the ringside helped out with all that too. He can be a good influence in the matches like he's been forever. But that was go ahead.
This was one of my favorite matches of the night. To be honest with you, mainly because of Cornette. Anytime he got knocked around, the camera got in his face, and he completely was like, "Why are you looking at me?" kind of thing. The Southern Boys came in hot, which is, one of the best things to see in a tag title match is you have these guys just flying around the place. One of the things I thought was interesting, I've never seen this done before, and actually I don't think I think it's been done since. The Armstrong was going for looked like it might have been a leapfrog, but he got caught and turned that into a monkey flip.
Yeah,
you don't see that nowadays.
Not really as much. Not really. Just very rare, especially in WWE. But
then the match basically exploded. The Southern Boys tried to get the pin on both the Midnight Express. There's a cheap shot of a kick to the back of the head and roll up pin for the win for the Midnight Express. Which, it is what it is. I think Stan I think Stan Lane is the one that caught. I think it was Tracy Smothers in the back of the head with a kick.
Yeah. I didn't like the finish, honestly. That was another match. I didn't like the finish. I thought that at first is like, what's he going to do? Kick him, or is Cornette going to hit him with the tennis racket? I was trying to see what. I
thought the tennis racket was going to come into play more.
Yeah, I thought it was too, but I think Cornette was kind of what I would say kind of blocked from that. It's like I don't know, there's a miscommunication or whatnot, but I saw him start swinging that tennis racket and the leg kick, and so I was like, okay, I was just waiting on to see which one was going to connect first.
So, what'd you end up rating this match?
I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 7. The only thing I found bad about it was the finish.
Yeah.
And this one caught my attention very, very strongly, mainly because of the stuff from Steve Armstrong and the double pins and stuff like that. You don't really see that happen much in tag title matches anymore.
Yeah.
This led into there was this big trend that they would go to Gordon Soley. after every match. This led to Gordon Solie with the Fabulous Freebirds cutting a promo on the Steiners. This will come into play when they have their match, but what did you think about the whole eye makeup thing that they had going with the Freebirds?
Wasn't a big fan of that version that hey, the eye makeup, man. I just they've had a couple different
personas.
Outfits, whatever, the whole deal. But that version is I wasn't a big fan, but they have good in-ring skills pretty well, but wasn't my favorite. I heard some of the crowd chants too in that one. I was surprised they didn't bleep them out on the network.
Yeah, I made a note of that for us to talk about during the match.
Yeah.
So the next match was a Vader introduction match.
Yeah.
With his crazy headpiece that he had going on against, I think it was Tom Zank, the Z-Man.
That was Vader's debut in WCW.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And especially with how Jim Ross was talking and things like that. That's what it looked like. And this was just a squash match. Zink had nothing going for him against Vader. What'd you think on that one? Would you rate it?
It was actually, I gave it a 4.5.
Really?
Yeah, I was just certain things about it, kind of like, but I was going between a 4 and 4.5, but I was like, it wasn't like it was okay. I thought it was, good for what it was, and I thought it deserved somewhere between 4 and 4.5.
Yeah, I went with a 4, so this one you actually went higher than me, and it's just because it was a squash on a pay-per-view. I'm not a fan of those.
No, I'm not either myself. I just thought there was a little bit of something behind with the story, just a little bit, and Z-Man showed some whatever he could, but I'm not a fan of squash matches myself, as you know, but, it wasn't as bad of a squash, but it was still squash enough.
Yeah, it was a squash, and I get sometimes you want to bring in a monster and you need those, which I fully understand. It's just don't do it on pay-per-views.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. It seems like a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I might sound a little critical here, but I actually even think some of the earlier matches were something that should not have been utilized on a pay-per-view, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately after that, you go to Gordon Solie once again with the Four Horsemen. We have Arn, Ole, Windham, and Vicious, which, by the way, I completely forgot Sid Vicious was in the Four Horsemen. There's some questionable people that were in the Four Horsemen. Vicious being one of them, and the other one being Mongo McMichael. This is just a promo talking about the 6-man tag that they have coming up, and talking about Flair remaining champion at the end of the night, which I don't know. I get it. Flair's their boy, but you have to be careful with Sting. You can't make guarantees with Sting around.
Sid was in the Skyscrapers when Dan Spivey got injured.
Yeah,
and then he eventually went to Four Horsemen. And the funny thing is, Dan Spivey, just a little side note, he eventually went to WWF. Eventually, part of his character kind of influenced Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt, yeah. But anyway, it was actually his idea to give Bray Wyatt, which Bray has taken that and ran.
Oh yeah, big time.
So next we have the Freebirds versus the Steiners. Now you and I kind of made a reference to this a couple times. They were chanting "faggot" in this match. Which I understand. This is a different time, and I know what it's a reference to. It's definitely a reference to the gear and the eye makeup, but. Oh boy, did that not age well?
Yeah, I honestly, when I heard that, I said once again, just like you're saying, a different time period in the world, obviously. But I would have figured and thought that network would try to catch that and bleep that out for you because of the modern society. But obviously, they didn't catch or even notice or whatever it may be. But or they just uploaded it and hey, whatever.
I honestly am okay with them keeping it in there. I do understand it's a different time at this point, but I think it's important to show how far we came since then. Especially considering if you look at AEW, you have Sonny Kiss that's as a mainstay on there, and there isn't negative attention drawn to him for how he dresses or behaves. So with that, it's a good sign to see between 1990 and 2020 how more accepting we are as wrestling fans.